All right, Mike. First of all, thanks, man, for doing this. I really appreciate it.
Yes,
Um,
sir. Thank you for having me.
of course, I've got to ask you. The last time that I talked to you was, I think, 21 or 22. Tell me how much of a different person Micah Tease is now compared to that super excited young man that I was talking to while you were still playing high school football.
Still the same one. Still the same one. Older, a little more facial hair. Ultimately, I feel like it's still the same kid. Still the same kid. Confidence level has grown. Maturity has grown. Professionalism has grown. How I approach things, my intent behind things. So yeah, still the same kid, just more mature.
I heard you say during the recruiting process back in the day that a lot of it was like business decision related. Do you still view kind of everything that's gone on in your life, like even this opportunity as Tulsa now, as a business decision for you?
Mhm. It's I feel like in my sport necessarily it's kind of aiming towards the business world. It's more a business than it is a sport. College football, I mean, it's the closest that you're going to get to football. The next level is real business. But the way this thing is changing is kind of like a business. As far as NIL, the contracts being written, the clauses within the contracts, how we practice and everything. So essentially, it is becoming a business. But I just feel like I personally say it's a business because of how I approach it. You wanna have some professionalism about it. You don't want to just take it for granted. So yeah.
How important is it though to still have that love for the game, a business that comes along with it? But for waking up at 6 a.m., getting the runs in, and then the lifts on later in the day, and then all the games and competitions you have later on in the night, there still has to be love that's there for that too. Correct?
Yeah. So I definitely say you have to fall in love with the process. I guess I could ask you, like, in your profession, you would say like there's some things that you might not like over others, but it's just kind of like you accept it. There's something that you have to do. It's kind of the same way. It's the same way with football. I mean, like 6 a.m. runs, like nobody wants to run at 6 a.m. Nobody wants to lift, when they want to chill. But it's accept this is what it comes with. And just accepting that, I feel like that was the easiest transition for me to just go through it.
When did you accept it? Because I read Kobe's book probably 2 years ago, and he was the thing that stood out to me was just, and this is nothing that anyone that's not a fan of Kobe doesn't know, is like he loved the grind, but it was him going through talking about the process of how he actually fell in love with the grind. What was your process like, and when did it happen for you?
My process was my process was being able to fire off like you're 100% when your body is really feeling like 50%. My freshman year at A&M, we had this thing called competitive agilities. Well, the freshman year it was called fourth quarters, and basically it was just like this 4 week period to where you were transitioning and you were just literally doing strength conditioning to spring ball. And so it was hard. It was real hard. You were running for a full hour. I mean, you had like a halftime 5 minute period in between, but for the whole hour, your body was moving. So just going from high school to that, and I had left and went the semester early. That was the first instance where it was like, okay, I got to switch my mind. And then my second year in my second fall camp, my role had went up tremendously, and I was in a position to where I was running with the ones, and my body was bang. By practice 13, my body was bang. So just being able to like be resilient and push through even though my body was hurting, and actually learning like, okay, this is the process. This is what he's talking about. Like being able to still pay attention and hit the little details, and create the full picture. Even though I was hurting that day one, that day two, when I look back over the span of the 2 week period of fall camp, I was more positive than good. I mean, than negative. So it was just like really being able to stay down and be resilient. Like when you're hurting, when you're not feeling your best, when you're not 100%, that's when I learned.
How do you take care of your body now? What you guys are going through here before you even get to spring football. I'm going to be out there with you guys Friday morning, like doing a
Okay.
little thing.
Okay.
So, but there's lots of talk about spring football potentially going away or shifting to something new and making it into more of an OTA type platform like they have in the pros.
Mhm.
I'm big on you guys trying to be as fresh and maintaining control of your body so you're fresh for an entire season. I know that's not 100% possible at all, but reps are important for you guys. So how are you going through the process in this shifting from A&M to Tulsa right now of not only making sure that you're taking care of your body, but also getting your mindset?
To be honest, just using all the little tools and details that I used to do down at end. That was a Power Five program, and not saying like this program isn't, but it just was. And so being able to, okay, take what I learned from there and use it and apply it here, it's just been helping me the most. Attacking the strength and conditioning, attacking the training room, attacking my off the field recovery, whether that be me going to hot works and just getting a good sweat while I stretch. It can be anything. So just little details like that, my diet, and just putting down a lot of fried foods, and picking up more carbs, more greens. So yeah, really just diet, strength conditioning. I'm just really just using what I learned at A&M, to be honest.
Let's talk a little bit about your decision.
Mhm.
Walk me through when you had, let's go back. I think there's this, is there a misconception about the way that the portal works to the average fan, maybe even to dumb media members, about the way that it works, or is it pretty cut and dry? Walk me through your process of when you decided, all right, you know what, I think this is business decision best for me to take on a new opportunity.
So, I mean, for some people, it's different. Some people, I mean, just being honest, some people are forced out in different ways. Sometimes it can be vocal, sometimes it's not vocal. Some people are forced out. Some people, they really have the opportunity to go do some better at different places. So, that's the reason behind getting in the portal. And then ultimately, some people, they're just in the bad position and they need to go find like a new spot. My thing was, I feel like I just needed a new opportunity. I needed a new opportunity to show myself, to revamp myself, I guess. I mean, I was just inherited by a previous coach. I mean, there was nothing wrong with Coach Elko, but it was just like the opportunity to fit, it just wasn't for me. And so I just needed something new. And ultimately, being back home, I didn't expect to be back home, but the opportunity presented itself and I really just couldn't pass it up.
When the opportunity arose, what was the first thing that stood out to you about coming back home?
Like, God honest truth, the only thing I was thinking in my head, I was like, TU? Like, because it was so random. It was so random because it was like, okay, like out of all schools, like that could really hit me. And it was Coach Switch that hit me because like I was just like, like you wouldn't expect that. You wouldn't expect that. And just the simple fact that the opportunity, it makes sense. Like it wasn't nothing that we had been talking, like no, Coach Switch, he called me. I told him, I was like, you know what, coach, like just give me a little bit, let me get back home, and then when I come back home, I'm gonna come up there and see you. And we had literally just talked for like an hour and a half, an hour 45 briefly. And from then on, it was just kind of just had the thought in the back of my head, like, like you don't have to have this big brand, this big logo, to go ball. And the more I just start to settle on that, and the more I just start to really think about it and just make the wise decision, it just made sense.
He seems like a dude it's hard to say no to in a way as well. I mean, he brings that juice like in every conversation that you're with, that you're around him. Magnetic personality as well. Did you
Mhm.
gravitate towards him right from the jump?
Absolutely, absolutely. I gravitated him out of coming out of high school, but it was just kind of a little new because he had just got there, I think 2022 or 23. He had literally just finished ball. So it was just a little like it was awkward at first because I was like, this is really like Ryan Switzer, but it was like, okay, this is Coach Switzer. Like this is not Ryan Switzer, this is Coach Switzer. But like, nah, man, he's just so generous and he's so, what's the word? Like he's just so outpouring. Like I've never seen somebody like really just sacrifice and really love the game and just be genuine. Be genuine. Like he's so genuine to all of us as players. Like he just wants the best for all of us, and he expects to pour the most out of all of us. Like he just wants the best for all of us, and that's
Now
really,
that
I think that's all you can really ask for out of a coach.
No doubt. Now that you're back, not like you've stayed away, like you've come back home.
Yeah.
What's a good? Have you thought about what is it going to be like to run out on the field for the first time, like playing back in the city that you grew up in, and knowing the amount of pride that I wrote down a quote that you had here: "Product of the North, and I stand on the North." Knowing how much that means to you, and knowing the pride that the Booker T. Washington community has in its own right, what's it going to mean for you to run out on the field that first time?
I don't really think it's not necessarily just what it means for me, like probably what it means for this community. I mean, like this is like one of those barbershop talk type deals, like okay, what if like this for some people in the community, this is like a dream, and like for me, it's just such a blessing to be back and the opportunity like that I have to have such an impact. I mean, like all the kids that I've talked to, like just from being back home and just knowing like the impact that I have, and even though it's so small and so subtle, like it can be big. And I just feel like I just don't want to take that for granted. I'm not taking that for granted. Every day when I wake up, like I'm just so grateful to be here. Even though it's home and it could be somewhere, like I'm just grateful to be here. I'm grateful to, I don't know. Like I'm just so grateful for the opportunity. Like you just wouldn't understand, Like you just wouldn't understand. It's not even about just the accomplishments, the accolades that it comes with it. It's just like I get to. Like a lot of people don't get this opportunity to play Division I football at that, and just the fact that I get to play in my own backyard, like like I get to, like it's not I want, like I get to, I don't know, like I get this opportunity.
I think you can tell it means something to you because one of the first things you bring up is look at the kids that are in the community and the type of impact in having the visual element to go along with that now, along with your, you still your presence. I'll never forget. By the way, I travel with the football team, so I'm on the radio sideline, so I'll see you a lot.
Okay.
But there was a moment 5 or 6 years ago, and I can't remember what player it was, but it was something simple where he took his gloves off walking up the tunnel and he handed them to a kid. And I saw the look on this kid's face. And I'm thinking, this isn't LeBron. This isn't, anyone. This isn't Kobe throwing a shoe, in the
Yep.
front row. This is just a football player at Tulsa. He handed this kid this glove. And the
Hmm.
look on this kid's face was like he just won the lottery, man. And to hear you talk about kids, it means something, right? Like there's an impact. Was there a moment in your life where you had something like a meaningful impact from someone that either did something for you, like athlete wise? I know you were tight with your big brother. You guys slayed a lot of stuff. But was there moments like that that kind of still stick with your mind?
Shoot, man, it's plenty of them. I could definitely say, my brother, his OU experience, one of the most moments that I've had was probably when we went up there and they beat Ohio State. When he planted the flag in the middle of the field, I have a picture on my phone that we took after that game, and it wasn't even about like the experience for sure going to the game, but the picture for me, that was the biggest thing right there. It's just a lot of kids, like, people have different childhoods. People have different homes growing up. And I feel like, for us as football players, we're entertainers essentially. So it's just like if you can be able to, like, for those, I don't know, that hour or whatever, you can just be able to shift somebody's mind. You can make their day, you can brighten their day. However, just giving them gloves, just saying what's up, just talking with them. Something so simple, it can really have an impact, forever lasting impact. So,
How important was your family structure, especially during the recruiting process, right? Because you made your decision early and then ultimately changed on signing day, but it just listening to you talk was almost like I don't want to call it overwhelming, but you definitely had mentioned multiple times that you had your family helping you through the process. I can't even imagine what it's like to be one of the more coveted athletes in the entire state at that time. And the moment that the clock hit midnight, you're getting texts and you're getting calls and everything else. So family structure to help you through growing up and still the importance that it plays in your existence today.
it was you can't disclude them. You know what I'm saying? Like you can't uninclude your family. I mean, I feel like me personally, like in this recruitment, even though my mom or my dad, they weren't highly recruited Division I athletes. It's just the simple fact that they understand, people. They understand people. How to recruiting tactics. Like that's just trying to win somebody over, essentially. So it's just like you got to have somebody old enough, you know what I'm saying, to understand that and be able to cipher through that. Because I'm gonna just be honest. At times, some of these coaches they can get over on these kids, and if they don't have the right structure, and the right people behind them support them, like they can get over on them. So it was just important, like just to always include my family and make sure they're not feeling left out because like they helped me get here. Like without them, like I wouldn't have been able to go to tournaments. I wouldn't be able to go to these camps that I was able to get these offers from. So it's just like, nah, like I have to. I'd be wrong or selling myself short if I don't include my family.
Who was the you don't have to say names, but I'm sure there were some wild like pitches that were thrown your way, weren't there? Or was it all pretty even?
Nah, it was some wild pitches. I'm trying to think. Let me see if I.
I'll keep all this off the record. I won't.
Oh no, you good. You good. You good. I'll tell you this. So at Clemson, regardless, like it doesn't matter who you are. If you want the Clemson offer, you have to go to South Carolina and shake Dabo Swinney's hand. That's the only way you can get the offer. And so I remember my junior year when the recruitment was starting to pick up. And the DC he called me and he told me he was like, "Yeah, man, we like you, man. We love everything about you." He was like, "Man, the only thing we're missing." Got to get you down here to shake Coach Swinney's hand. And like from then on, like just kind of, I started to hang up the phone because it's like, I mean, I'm in Oklahoma, I'm 13 hours away. Like, it's not saying that I won't come up there, but I just need something guaranteed. That was a situation. I had an official visit at USC. I had one of my coaches sitting in my hotel room before I even got to my room. I've had an instance like that. Shoot, I don't know, but the recruitment. Other than that, the recruitment was pretty fun. I mean, I feel like I was around some solid coaches. Like I met some solid, actually individuals. Yeah.
You had like 25 offers, right? I'm probably off
Yeah.
on that. Was Tulsa even one of them? Was Tulsa okay? I just want to make sure if Tulsa was even on them to kind of bring this full picture
Mhm.
back around now. And look, man, we get it. You know, when you got the A&Ms and the Arkansas and USCs of the world in terms of Tulsa ranking, what was your mindset of TU back then?
I felt like back then I was kind of like, man, I might be a little too big for TU, you know, because it's just like it's just being honest, like, because it's like, okay, when you're getting offered by like the Power Fives and whatnot, it's just like you can't tell, like, what, like you can't. No, but it's just like the sense of maturity. Like you're not looking at it from a lens like, okay, it's still football, it's still Division 1. It might not be the ideal, I guess, league or whatever, but it's still football. Like, what's the difference? I think back then, if I would have probably considered opportunity over logo more and more, because not necessarily saying I didn't consider opportunity. The opportunity was still good at the time, but if I were to really, really consider opportunity, I don't know, I probably wouldn't have been at A&M, but I don't know where though. I don't know where.
Yeah, I was trying to think about this while you were answering that. And I
Mm,
think we as society, and especially in the media, like with all these recruiting sites and fans, I think we do an awful job sometimes with young men in the recruiting process about saying things like, well, he's only got an offer to Western Kentucky or whatever, or he's only got an offer to Middle Tennessee State. And I'm like, that is an opportunity. Like, it doesn't, like, not everyone can go
nobody.
and get an offer to Florida. Not everyone
Hmm.
can go and get an offer to Alabama. And bless everyone that gets the chance to go there. But
Hmm.
we put so much pressure on everyone because of what you mentioned, logo wise.
Hmm.
And I've always lived by, I don't care if it's Pittsburgh State. That's an opportunity for you to go, not only get an education, but to continue to play something that you've loved clearly for a long time. Do you feel like we put a lot of pressure on young people that way?
It is. And it's not even just pressure from, well, it goes hand in hand. It's social media too. It's social
Yes.
media like what you're seeing, like what you're seeing being said about you, like what you're seeing being said about it's just all types of different information being thrown at you. So it's just hiking you up like, man, like I gotta do this, I gotta do this, I gotta do this. But it's like ultimately like nobody's living in your situation. Nobody's in your shoes. Nobody's able to dictate like, okay, nah, this how you really feel. Like they ain't been through your shoes. So it's like, how could they really tell you? Like, I can't tell a millionaire how to be a millionaire. I haven't been a millionaire yet. So it's just like, as long as people and us athletes, well, people in general, they just start to understand, like, hey, we're all going through this life thing together, trying to figure it out, and just take a step back and just let people figure it out. I feel like people will start, actually showing with more confidence, at least players wise.
All right, I got two more and then I'll let you go. No, you got a class.
You're fine.
How's the fit been so far? Like just fitting in, meeting new people, obviously
Hmm.
getting to know your teammates. This is where, you develop that friendship and the brotherhood next to each other, that dude sweating next to you, dude going through the grind. How's it been and
Facts.
how does it feel?
I'll tell you. So it's been real good. But I'll say like it really was all put together, I want to say like 2 weeks ago. We had, I think it was on a Tuesday or a Friday. We had a 9 p.m. team run. 9 p.m. And this is in the cold. So I think it was on a Friday, yeah. So we had a 9 p.m. team run. And like when I'll tell you, like that was one of the weird, like that was my first time ever having to run that late. And just the simple fact that like we're all going through it together. And what we were doing out there, like it was HE double hockey sticks. It was definitely smell. But just the simple fact that everybody was able to bond together, be resilient, like respond to constructive criticism, like, okay, if coach is telling us we having to start over, nobody's sitting there pouting, like everybody's all right, come on, y'all, like let's get it going. Just having that like and that motivation amongst each other, like that's when I really started to realize, like, okay, like this is really a good spot. I'm surrounded by some good people, some good kids. Like it's not any really secret intentions, you know what I'm saying? Those secret agendas. Like everybody's thorough, everybody's genuine. Like it's just like last year it wasn't the ideal year. So, it's just kind of in a bit of a rebuild, and everybody's trying to adapt to the rebuild as well as long as with the transfers as well. So I feel like it's a good fit. It's a great fit.
What's the vibe and energy level like amongst everyone on the verge of spring football where you can get into a little bit more of the actual football elements of this, knowing with what you talked about, which was they're coming off of a down year, new staff, a bunch of new faces. Is there juice inside of the building when you go in every day about turning this thing around?
Every day, every day. I feel like every day, some days are going to be down. You know what I'm saying? Some days going to be a better than others. But I feel like everybody's intent is in the right spot. Everybody's intent is in the right spot. the discipline, the intent to get better every day, whether it's just 1% or 10%, like everybody's intent is in the right place. Now, intent doesn't win games for sure. We're still working, you know what I'm saying, to get the X's and O's right. But just the simple fact that everybody's intent is in the right spot and everybody's thinking the same or thinking along with the same goals, with the same identity, we're in a perfect spot.
I lied. You're fit in the offense. How, when you look at it from the 30,000 foot view, how do you view that?
Perfect. It's perfect. I mean, it's not necessarily a too much or a too low. It's just like right in that fit. Like I haven't been a top receiver yet since high school. And you know, college the speed of the game is different. So it's just like once I get my feet under me and I'm able to really, really take this to the next level, like I'm fine. I know I'll be fine. But right now it's just like still just trying to get everything together, put all the pieces together, you know?
Yeah. Tell me one thing about you that no one knows.
One
Maybe
thing about me
something that
that
you
no one
like,
knows.
something that you do. I don't know whether you go and like do like float tank stuff, like even it could be anything, like recovery, anything, or that they might be surprised by.
Okay, this is gonna be a music thing.
Okay, yeah.
I tend to listen to Elton John while I lift.
All right. Okay. All right. So that's awesome. Why?
To be honest, like I can always listen to like hard, like like hardcore. Like I can listen to that, but me personally, like my personality, like when I'm by myself and I'm just going through my own little rhythm, like I like to slow it down. Like I like everything to be smooth,
Yes.
copacetic. So it's just like the simple fact that I can play some Elton John or some Luther Vandross or like something old school where it's just slow. It's just
Babyface.
yeah, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like just something smooth and copacetic. That's what I like.
That's awesome, man. Do you have a favorite Elton?
Now, it's not necessarily just the Elton song. It has Young Thug in it, but it's
Oh
a
yeah.
song called High.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Yes. That's probably my favorite one.
That's outstanding. Micah, I appreciate you, man. Oh, this is awesome.
I appreciate you,
I'm
man.
sure we'll see much more of each other coming up over the next several months or so. You were one of the better student athletes that I've interviewed in a while. So thank you for being
Thank you.
open and sharing your story, man. I really appreciate it.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Thank you for
Yep.
having me.
Appreciate you, man. Have a great rest of your day.
You too.
All right, man. Thank you. Thanks, Jared.
There we go. All right, see you guys.
See you, man. Thank you, Jared.
Can't figure out how to do this.
Well, there you go.
Was I ever? I swear I was muted, but I don't know if it or not. Who knows?
Yeah, you were muted.
Okay, cool.
Yep.
All right. Awesome.
Thanks, man.
Yes, sir.